Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. In today's video I will be attempting to speedrun random items in Terraria. This is completely random, so it could be anything from a wooden sword to the Zenith. I hope you enjoy it. The first item I got was a clay block, so I started out with a new welding character and just dug straight down. Clay is a very common block in Terraria, so I got it very easily. Unfortunately I hit a patch of stone which slowed me down a bit, but it still only took 16 seconds to get it. The second item I got was a wrath potion, which is crafted with an ebon koi and deathweed, both obtained via the corruption biome. So I started a new corruption world, and the first thing I did was chop down a tree to make a wooden fishing pole. I then found my first wooden surface chest, which contained the potential savior of the playthrough, the can of worms. For anyone who doesn't know, the can of worms is a consumable item that contains, shockingly, worms that can be used as bait in fishing. After collecting that, I found my desert biome and mined some sand to get bottles. Whilst I was there, I also mined some stone to make a furnace. I then went to the left of spawn and found my corruption biome, where I had a friendly conversation with some Eater of Souls. They're nice guys, by the way, very interesting. When one of them realized, quite correctly I might add, that it wasn't safe for me there, so he decided to send me home. Thank you, Eater of Souls, that was very thoughtful of you. Anyway, back at spawn, I made a house for me, myself, and the guide, who refused to go inside, and after I participated in some, mild deforestation, made myself some wooden clothes. If I didn't have the drip at that point, I never would. Hang on a minute. At that point, night had fallen, so I decided to place down the chest I had collected and to organize my inventory. I then started digging straight down to see if I could find anything useful in caves and found some lead ore, which I can use to make an upgraded fishing pole. I also found a minecart track in a small cavern, which led to some purple pools of water, a clear indication that I was in the corruption biome. The background hadn't changed though, but I decided to start fishing anyway to try and get the ebon koi early on. However, my abysmal fishing power and pathetic size of the pool meant I'd fished up nothing at all. While I was fishing though, I saw a pinky, so I went out of my hidey hole to get a chance at the slime stuff. Unfortunately, the pinky did not drop it, so I had to deal with a big blob of pink slime instead. After I killed the slime, I continued along the minecart track, where I saw nothing but a few sand blocks, which is enough to send me running back home because the pre-boss underground desert is very close to swallowing glass in levels of enjoyment. When I was back home, I crafted the reinforced fishing rod, which has a significant fishing power boost to its wooden counterpart. With my last lead bars, I also crafted a toilet, because sitting on a toilet increases fishing power by 5. I was heading back to my corruption biome, shaking trees for fruit items, when the eucalyptus sap dropped, which has a 1 in 1,000 drop chance, which is pretty cool. Once I reached the corruption though, I was immediately swarmed by an Eater of Souls, so I did the manly thing to do, which was run back home and lock the door. Now, overflowing with testosterone, I headed back to my fishing hole, and it took forever to catch anything. Here is some thrilling footage from that eventful trip, so you can see for yourself. I soon gave up, so I travelled to the right of the track to see what was there and found nothing. So instead, I went down another cave and very carefully activated a boulder trap, leading to my grisly demise. Once back home, I decided that maybe I was taking things too hard, so I instead challenged an innocent flower, which I definitely didn't waste about 50 throwing knives on. Back in the corruption, I made an artificial safe lake where I could fish away from all the enemies. Once it was full, which took forever, I started fishing, then realized I could upgrade my worms to enchanted nightcrawlers, which have a much higher fishing power. Even with these adjustments, I lost all my bait and was killed when I tried to go home. At this point, I was getting far too familiar with the death screen, and so I went to the desert to get full cactus armor. However, Terraria realized that I hadn't seen the death screen in a bit too long, so it decided to throw a sandstorm at me, so we were reunited once again. After that experience, I went back to the minecart track and explored the other side, where I ran into a wall again. Whilst I was down there, I went into a pool of water to try and find the lost city of Atlantis, and according to my good pal the death screen, I found it. Back at the surface, I built another NPC house for the merchant to move in. Then I tried pole vaulting in the corruption, but then remembered why I don't do pole vaulting. I then went back to the corruption, where I decided it was a good time to climb up my intestines and out of my mouth, which I did not appreciate one bit. I then tried to get past the corruption using my epic parkour skills, and was rewarded with the Eater of Self popping my cranium like a balloon in its freakily oversized mandibles. After I was sent back home, unwillingly, I built another house in case the wrong NPC spawns in, and went back underground where I found a very obviously trapped chest, which after de-trapping, I opened and was rewarded with a pair of Hermes kicks and a rather dashing new sweater, which still smelled of the man who used to own it. Then, using the explosives, I used a pre-existing wire to blow up a deposit of lead because I wasn't bothered to mine it like a regular person. When I was exploring the caves, I came across a red slime. We thought it was a good idea to simply glide through blocks, which was unfair because I don't have that ability myself. After killing that hacker, slime, I found my first life crystal in an underground lake, which was extremely cool. I then tried to make a mob grinder where the Eater of Souls could pass through the wall and I would kill them. Step 1 worked great, but step 2 not so much. So after some adjustment, I got right to work. I managed to collect over 50 silver, so I grabbed it and teleported back home before I could lose it again. I then went back underground, where I found my second pinky, which is kind of insane as they are very rare, but did not get the slime stuff once again. At that point, I had been playing for an hour, so I was starting to slowly lose my mind. The fastest Moonlord speedrun, for comparison, is only 52 minutes, so I was mentally degenerating. After I pulled myself together a bit, I went back to the corruption to farm some more. It was during this farming session where I saw the 5 words that completely changed the speedrun for me. Gilbert the merchant had arrived. I quickly sped back home and I purchased the most useful item in this entire run, the fabled bug net. After stocking up on bait, I went back to the corruption and started fishing. Believe it or not, I believe it, I actually ran out of bait during this, so after collecting some more, I went right back to it. At last, after 2 hours of waiting, I finally fished up the fish I needed, the ebon koi. After racing back home, using the ebon koi and some deathweed I collected earlier, I crafted the wrath potion. I honestly can't believe it took so long to get this potion, but we finally did it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe as it really helps me out. Comment below what you want me to do next, and thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.